Hello, Barnett. Before we get started, we all got the email from Lizette that after all of her many years of service that she is leaving us. So I brought a thank you card if everybody could sign it. And Butch, if you could get it to her.
I'll get it.
It is a big loss. So all of you who have been here a long time, who are thinking about I've had enough, please
Put a little money in there.
Yeah, just
mail it.
okay. We have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're good. Okay. First thing on the agenda, roll call. Everybody signs. Second thing, approval of the agenda. Got a motion?
So moved.
Carol? Second, Butch?
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And the motion passes, and no one's taking minutes, and she's not here. I'm taking minutes. Don't. Approval of the minutes. That did Mona email the minutes?
Yes.
So approval of the minutes as they were sent. Are there any
I
corrections?
saw them, I read them, and
Yeah.
So
motion that we put.
Second. Yeah.
Yes.
Carol. Mona.
Yes, ma'am.
We approve the agenda.
Okay.
Carol and Butch.
Okay.
And Mr. Stansberry and Ms. Broussard
Okay.
of the minutes. Okay, quarterly report on the health plan. Where's Lynn?
I don't know. We can
Well, if there's no objection, we'll
text him and see.
take things out of order until Lynn gets here.
Okay, thank you.
Next thing on the agenda is voluntary benefits administrator.
We have Shane Pennington and all of his team from EBI to talk to us about how open enrollment fared and some survey results, I believe.
Anywhere that I need to sit?
Wherever you want.
Anywhere? All right. Deal. How are you guys doing?
All right.
My mind can't just hear anymore.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we do have cookies if you want me to pass the
No,
plate.
thank you.
Yes.
We have another one. I need one. Sure.
Well, first of all, I just want to thank you guys. Some of you may recognize me. I've been a part of a few short meetings with this committee, obviously, with the board. My name is Shane Pennington, and I serve as the Regional Executive Sales Director for Educational Benefits, who is serving as your new broker of record for employee benefits. Before I get going, Mona alluded to it, but I did bring my enrollment team, so if you guys stand up.
Good.
These guys have been working their tails off, to put it lightly. Hey, Matt. Oh, I'm sorry. Was I not supposed to point out? It's good to see you, Matt. They've been working really, really hard. And a lot of this team has been here since day one. Day one was October 22nd is when we started the open enrollment. So tonight, what I wanted to do, and I know that you guys probably have some questions, what I want to do is I want to go through some of the goals that EBI had before the enrollment ever started. And then I want to talk about, maybe give you an update of what's going on in the enrollment. If you'll open up the materials on the right side, you should have something that looks like this. It's kind of an outline. It's kind of going to be my speaking points. So the first thing that I want to talk about is building the partnership with Lafayette Parish School System. When I talk about partnership, it's very important to EBI. It's our culture. A lot of people say, you feel like family to us. And that's how we work. It really is. So when I say partnership with Lafayette Parish School System, that's a partnership with this committee. That's a partnership with the insurance department. That's a partnership with the school board. And ultimately, if we can all work together, it's a partnership to create that family with all of your employees. And that's our goal. So what has to happen before we can build a partnership? Well, first of all, we have to agree that we have common goals. And I don't think we have to talk about this much, because this committee, I know that you're charged with doing what's best for the employees when it comes to benefits. And that's a common goal of ours. The same thing for the school board. The next thing, a willingness to work together. I have no reason to believe that we won't have any issue here, because we have that common goal. The next thing is open communication. I think we told you when we had our moment with this team in our presentation that we were going to be an open book with you, that we wanted to fully disclose any issues that we had anytime along the way. So we put some things in place where you're going to be able to see exactly how we did, and I'll address those in just a little bit. Our next goal, it does have to do with the enrollment, and our goal was not to hurt any employee. So there were a number of things that we did to make sure that happened. The first thing, in product selection, we wanted to be as little disruptive. We wanted to be least disruptive, but we also wanted to look at those plans that you currently had and see if we couldn't do better. That is our goal. Remember, we want to do the best for the employees of Lafayette Parish School System. So the things that we kept in place were your dental, your vision, all of the Unum products, which includes the group life, that I know that both the active employees and the retirees are still holding on to that group life insurance. I think that you guys voted on that sometime this year, that the group life for the retirees 1/1 was going to reduce from the 10 to the 5. I think this committee voted on that. That's still in place. We didn't want to mess with that, obviously. The supplemental life is still there, and then the long-term care. The long-term care, let me talk about that just a little bit, and I know that, Ms. Mounts, I know that you have some questions about this. You tell me if you want me to address it now, and I will.
Well, it's on the agenda later, so we'll do that separately.
Separate, okay. So from an LTC perspective, we don't sell a straight long-term care policy. We do have part of our life insurances that we offer. We do have an option that has some long-term care built into it. So we were not familiar with the Unum LTC. So what I worked with Mona about is that we would leave the existing Unum LTC in the group, but because things were happening so quickly, I chose that we would not sign anybody new up. Okay, so no new entrances or participants into the long-term care policy. I have learned quite a bit about about Unum, that long-term care policy. I'll go ahead and mention it. The increases that are going to happen at the first of the year. So if I need to speak to that later, just holler at me. The things that we did not keep, obviously, Texas Life, because that's exclusive to First Financial and American Fidelity, so we couldn't do that. American Fidelity will not allow us to sell their products, so we couldn't do the long-term disability. And then the Allstate products is where I really took time and looked at those things and tried to find good enough comparison with those products, because I think, Ms. Mounts, when we were here presenting the last time, and we didn't really have a lot of time to get into this, there was question, are you going to have the exact same policies? Is it going to be the exact same dollar amount? Is it going to have... Carriers just don't build their products exactly the same. So what I was responsible for doing was working with Mona and identifying. So I'll give you an example. Allstate Cancer. I don't know if any of you know this. Do any of you have the Allstate Cancer plan? No? You have the Allstate currently. So the Allstate Cancer plan pays on cost, not actual charges. That means it won't pay until after your health insurance. So if you're told that you've got a $20,000 radiation chemotherapy benefit, well, guess what? After your health insurance, you may only have $5,000 left. So that's what you'll get in the benefit. The policy that we brought in through Guardian, it pays actual charges. So it doesn't look at health insurance. It pays, if it's $20,000, you're going to get $20,000 for your radiation chemotherapy. The other thing that I was able to negotiate with Guardian was a provision. They referred to it as a takeover provision. So anyone who had a current Allstate plan that was undergoing treatment, and this is unheard of, undergoing treatment as of 1/1, they could get onto the new plan and Guardian's going to take on the risk, or they're going to start paying those claims. So for your people who have the Allstate plan and are undergoing treatment right now, guess what? These guys right here, we're telling them you can keep both of them if you choose to, because now your Allstate plan is obviously paying, and come 1/1, if you get into the Guardian plan, it's going to pay as well. So that was really important. If you look at accident, we went to the Allstate plan had a low and a high plan. We went middle of the road and offered one plan. The benefits paid more than the high plan on the Allstate, but our rates were lower than the high Allstate. So it's little bitty things like that when you're designing products and trying to do that. That's what we did. And I think the feedback that I've gotten from these guys is that, and I know that some of you, I don't know which of you, but some of you, I know you've already gone through the enrollment process. The feedback that I've gotten, and you'll be able to see survey results, has been extremely positive. The other thing that we did was we don't work with carriers that don't allow us to bring in what we refer to as a guaranteed issue product. So disability, cancer, if it's a critical illness policy that pays for heart attack, stroke, kidney disease, all those things, guaranteed issue. We didn't have to ask any health questions. They're guaranteed to get it. So if you had any employees in the school system that, let's just say that they started employment 2 or 3 years ago and they did not choose to get the Allstate plan, and then they were diagnosed with cancer, those folks would be stuck without an opportunity to get a cancer policy. So we were able to do that. Same thing, they wouldn't have been eligible to get a disability plan. We were able to give them disability coverage. So again, everything around the products, we really focused and made it a priority for us to do right by that. The next part, service, service, service. Yes, I said it 3 times. And these guys will tell you, they've met every Sunday evening. Every Sunday evening. Tina, right here. This is Tina Craig. She served as our lead benefit consultant. She's been here 6 weeks. She's one of your residents, okay? So she's been here. She's done training, because we've had a couple of new folks. What we had to do with the enrollment was, because we had other large enrollments, we were doing Little Rock School District in the months of October and November, so we had to start with a lower number. I think we started with 5 benefit consultants. This week we have 12. Next week we go up to 16 or 17 benefit consultants that will be in your school system. But Tina has taken responsibility. She's kind of been the go-between with Mona and her department. She's worked with Skip, who some of you guys know who Skip is. I'm gonna have him speak in just a second. But has done that training. And one of the things that we have not stopped talking about is service, service, service. So how did we do that? The first thing that we did was we did some pre-enrollment work. We did a video, and I don't know if any of you saw that video. It went out to all employees, and it was basically an introduction for us. I was on the video. I don't really like doing those videos, but I was on the video, and I introduced everyone, made them aware who we were. And then I laid out the expectations of the open enrollment with the dates and that kind of information. The other thing that we did was the employee benefit guide, which I see some of you have that pulled out. That looks a little bit different than the employee benefit guide that your folks had before. What we really try to do is summarize all of the high points of all of our products. So it's very neat and concise. It puts in it highlights anything that's important for the employee to pick up on. We sent that out to all employees via PDF prior to the enrollment. Now, I will say this, we didn't get it out until the Friday before we started the administrative offices. So some of those folks didn't get them in a timely manner. We like to send it out at least a week to 2 weeks before we're at every location. So the folks here at Central Admin, that's something that timeline didn't allow us to do what we would expect, or what we would hope that you would expect us to do, but we'll be able to improve that next year. Everyone else had that benefit guide though via PDF. And then when we go to your schools, to your locations, all of your employees are getting handed one of these. And I tell this team, and I know Tina's told this team, and they've heard this for a long time, and y'all, I want you to know something. This is not just for Lafayette Parish School System. We do this for all of our school groups. And you guys just happened to be our first one in Louisiana. But we take care of somewhere around 160 to 175 school systems right now. We want to be family. They hand everybody one of these. Even if they say, I don't want that, and they throw it in the trash, they know that everybody should get this because it's so important, okay? Skip, if you don't mind, the other thing that we did, Skip is our local contact, and I think that we shared that with you guys when we were here doing our short presentation before. Skip lives in Sunset. Skip has actually done some work in the school system before, so he had some relationships with folks. I'm going to let him talk about what he was able to do for us for pre-enrollment at each location.
Thank you, Shane. Guys, thank y'all very much. It's an honor. It really is an honor. I've served in this district going back to the middle to late 80s is when I actually had my first assignment in this district. And it's an honor to be able to get to serve your folks once again. So I wanted to say that first and foremost. Where I come in, EVI has all of the latest technology. That's kind of their specialty. They have access to all of the products in the marketplace, and it's all cutting edge type stuff. Where I come in is not so much the cutting edge type stuff. I'm just a local guy, and some of the things that I do them the old fashioned way. And kind of to shed a little light on that is when the enrollment was in the process of actually beginning, I spoke to a couple of the owners of the company, and I had a vision that I wanted to visit all 47 locations and meet somebody face to face, whether it was the secretary, principal, the assistant principal, whoever the point of contact was at that location. That's the way my father trained me to do this. He said that'll never go away. He said it's to put a face to something. So I did that all 47 locations, because when you deal with a mass of employees, you'll have hiccups. They're going to happen. It'll inevitably happen. The key to me is how to get to some problem resolution in a prompt, in a quick manner. I felt by doing that and going out and making these contacts, and then what we would do in addition to that is prior to our enrollment team, and these guys are really the workhorses. They're in a lot of schools. Some of the high schools, they were there very, very early, and they stay very late, but they're the workhorses. But I have to try to make their job or lay the groundwork to give them a good opportunity to do what they're supposed to do when they get there. So I call the schools back, reconfirm if you will, just to make sure that the subs are lined up, just to make sure that we have the correct dates, to try to alleviate any potential problems before they ever happen. And so that's kind of where I came in, and that's what I do. I have family that works in the district. I've got neighbors that work in the district. Had a lady the other night I live in Choctaw for 182, south of Sunset Caring Crow, in that area. Had a lady call. She said, Skip, I got your card from the secretary of the school. I added my child on my dean of dental, but I just found out my child has dental insurance through his company now. Can we make that change? Miss Tina Craig. Tina, raise your hand. Tina Craig, right here. We give that to Tina. Tina makes the change. They shoot an email, get that person a new benefits confirmation report, and it's done. Just nothing complicated, nothing fancy. It's just to put a face to that point of contact so they know someone to call. And I enjoy that very much. And hopefully I've brought some value to the team and ultimately to the employees in the school system.
Thank you, Skip. Moving on. Other things that we did to go over the top with service is we provided portability forms. I mentioned that there were some product carriers that we were not able to continue writing. So those folks were given a portability form. So if you'll look over on the left side, you'll see Texas Life, Allstate, Combined Insurance. Those first three, those are what we refer to as portability forms. So anybody that wanted to keep their policy, they had the opportunity to keep their policy. And this is how they moved it to bank draft. I can tell you that as far as these groups go, some of these have better customer service than others. I know that you guys would probably agree with me. Texas Life has been excellent to work with. And I've got another piece in here to talk about what these guys did, but they have had a lot of interaction with Texas Life because it was important to us, because we knew that plan was a good policy and that we were removing it, we were replacing it with something that was a little bit different. So we wanted to make sure of that. So they've had a lot of interaction there. Allstate, we work with Allstate. We're familiar with them. Combined insurance, I think that would be negative, right? Not so. Those of you who call, we've had people. We've called them and actually said on customer service with Combined Life, what's the most? We've had people 40 minutes before they could talk to anybody. That's not good customer service. That's a. What's that?
Couldn't find coverage either, even with policy.
Couldn't find the coverage even though it was there and that employee knew it. So again, an example of us moving out someone that may not be either servicing or have the product. Again, that's our goal. The other thing here, the wellness claims. Man, I've got some great stories on this. So the Allstate wellness
I'm going to
benefit.
get a lot of money that I didn't know.
There you go.
Done to me.
How many of you know what a wellness claim is?
No.
Okay, so some of you may not know this. It's something that these guys, it's so important to our policies that if you'll turn, let's just do this. Turn towards the back here on page 25. We want to make sure that every employee knows where and how much they can get on wellness benefits. So if someone goes in for a chest x-ray, if a female goes in and has your annual exam, if you go in and have blood work that could lead to a positive screening for cancer or something like that, all of those things qualify for a wellness benefit. I can tell you, and I didn't talk to all of them, but I did talk to Tina because she's the lead benefit consultant. 9 out of 10 of your employees had no idea what a wellness claim was. They didn't know how to file on a wellness claim. I've got and Mona can tell you her story, but I've got another one that Tina shared with me just the other day. She met with someone and she's had the Allstate cancer plan, 75 or 100. $100 wellness benefit that she should be getting every single year. Had no clue about it. Tina said, well, let's just call them. Tina calls Allstate and says, I've got someone here that has one of your plans and she has never filed on her wellness benefit. How far can she go back? Well, how long has she had the plan? 6 years. She can go back 6 years? That's right, she can go back 6 years. So this woman, all she has to do is show where she's had her, whatever it was, checkup. Each year for the past 6 years, she's going to get a $600 from the carrier because somebody didn't tell her that. So service is so important to us. I can tell you, your people didn't know about wellness claims. They will know about wellness claims every single year when we're here. It's just part of what we do. Have you filed on your wellness claim? Well, you haven't. Well, let me help you. Here is the Guardian wellness claim. Let's help you. I'll help you fill out this top part. Whatever. We want people to file on these claims. If we didn't want people filing on these claims, we shouldn't even be selling the benefits, right? So we provided wellness claims for Allstate, who was the one group that had a wellness piece to their policies for people, even though we knew that this was going away. So people were able to get money from this, and then they got their Guardian, and they got their Lincoln, they got their Trustmark. These are for current plans. So the final three, Guardian, Lincoln, and Trustmark, those are for current plans. Those are the three that, so up to $300. If somebody had all three of these, that's $300 a year that they would get just by filing their wellness claim.
Well, let me just interject.
Sure.
I've had Colonial forever.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been retired 11 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked 33.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say 20 plus the time I've retired.
Mm-hmm.
I have received a check every year.
Good.
Because I knew if you're paying for something and you don't know about it, it's because whoever sold it to you didn't explain what you should be getting.
That's exactly right.
So, and you're saying this, but there's no guarantee next year there still will be someone who hasn't filed.
That's correct. That's why our benefit consultants are trained that every year they're to ask, have you filed your wellness claim? And if they haven't, they're trained to help them file their wellness claim.
So you're going to do this for every employee?
That's exactly right. Every employee every year. They will be reminded about their wellness claim. It's that important.
I remember that.
All right. Let's see here. What else? Educated employees. This is 4, I guess. Educated employees on the differences in old and new policies. Like I said, they called carriers. They had conversations with Texas Life. They wanted to know, these plans have only been in here for a couple of years, but do they have any cash value? The Texas Life, that policy is designed to not offer a lot of cash value, but they were able to find there were some folks that had gained decent cash value for the few years that they had it. I think you had some that were what, $200-300 maybe? probably the maximum, but that money's important. So the majority of the folks that had Texas Life, I would say that the overwhelming majority are still going to have Texas Life because these guys told them that they should keep it. So I tell you that because I want you to know that they didn't come in here and say, "Ah, that Texas Life, that's no good. You need this Trustmark plan." They know better than that. So I can promise you that that's happened everywhere they've gone.
Do you have those numbers? Because I asked Mona
How many have Texas Life?
and kept it.
We can. There's no way to know who kept it. There's no way for us to know who kept it because all these guys do is they call in and they say how much cash value, whatever, and then they get off the phone and then they talk to the employee and they say, "We think that you should keep it." Okay, and then they focus on our products, but there's no guarantee that everybody's going to take that Texas Life form and send it in and keep it.
So there's no way Mona can communicate with Texas Life and find out how many of our employees stayed with Texas Life.
Can they capture that?
She might be able to. She might. I don't know that she can. So she can try. I don't know that she can. I talked to someone with Texas Life because there was a hiccup. Our guys, again, training every Sunday night, told them it does not need to be bank drafted until January because that's when it will roll off of payroll. Some people, you're going to have it. Some people went ahead and sent them in, and guess what? They got bank drafted, and they're going to get deducted this month. So the people that I know of, I called into Texas Life and I said, "I need to understand this process. How are you going to take care of these folks?" And I can tell you real quick what they're going to do. They're basically going to get double charged for it this month. They'll go back on the group bill for December. And in January, they'll come off the group bill, but they won't have to pay into Texas Life because they're going to credit them for what they bank drafted this year. I only had one person that actually contacted me to tell me that had happened.
The calls I got were about Texas Life.
Okay.
So is there a reason they cannot stay on payroll deduction? Is there a reason they have to go? Some of us were talking about this earlier, that they have to go on bank draft?
So that was a decision. That's a decision that we leave to the insurance committee. What I can tell you is because I can't serve as the broker over that policy, it would not be within the technology that Skip talked about. So when you think about that, all the billing, all of that stuff would be outside of our system of record.
Do it manually.
They would have to do it manually
We're
outside.
trying to get away from that. That's why we went this direction.
Any other questions on that? Again, I said here number 2, they encouraged them to keep current policies if they saw that they were good policies. I can guarantee you that these folks did that. Single point of contact. On the back of this, you'll see a customer service number. Now, we know that Trish and Mona's team, that they have their customer service team. So this was something that I didn't want to step on Trish's toes. I know that department's there for a reason. And what we worked out with Trish was that Trish would continue doing the customer service on the health insurance because Mr. Fontaine does the health insurance. So my customer service team doesn't need to do customer service. They can guide them to Mr. Fontaine or whoever, but we agreed that Trish, actually our team would guide them back to Trish. Trish is going to take care of health insurance and I believe it's the HSAs that are local. Everything else, your employees are being told that 844 or that 188 number, they can call on anything in this book. Anything. If it's a dental card that they need, they call that number. If it's, I need to see if little Johnny is still on my accident plan because he started playing football this year, then they can call and they can check on that. I sit literally 10 foot in my office. I sit about 10 feet from the customer service team. It's the team that I will brag on all day long because I have heard the compassion that they have, talking people through cancer situations, whatever it is, and they go above and beyond. We talked about this wellness stuff. They'll be answering a question about a totally different policy, and they'll say, "Have you remembered to file your wellness claim this year on your cancer policy?" So over-the-top service, one number for anything. They'll get them a card. They've got that system of record, the technology. They're able to sit there and say, "Yes, ma'am, Mrs. Jones, it looks like you have a cancer policy that you and Steve and your 2 kids are covered. Oh yes, and you also have an accident policy. You have the vision, you have the dental, all those things. One phone number." Okay? We want to take that off of Trish because we know that she gets a lot of questions about health insurance. We know that she gets a lot of questions about other things. I view our customer service with Skip and I, and Tina right now as the lead rep, we're partnering with Trish and her customer service duties. So that's how we handle that. Measure employee experience. I'm going to go into this in more detail, but in the past, we've done a post-enrollment survey. So we finish an enrollment, and then we send out a link back into the school. They email it out to all employees, and we cross our fingers and we hope that employees will fill out that survey and send it back to us. Why would we want to do a survey? It's important for us to know how we're doing. We want to know if, in the open comments, they can put whatever they want to. If they feel like we need to be shopping out their dental, which as a side note, this will be something that I come back and talk to you about. We got a lot of people in the district that want to look at something other than Dina Dental, something that we need to talk about. If it's that one of these guys, maybe they were having a bad moment and maybe they didn't have a smile on their face, we want to know that their benefit consultant didn't smile during their open enrollment, because it's that important to us that the experience is good. What we did here, and this is a first for us, we gave all of these guys, most of them have the little Chromebooks, and I don't know if you guys have a Chili's down here or not. Chili's now, you can do the survey before you leave your table. So what they did was they finished their enrollment and they said the board would like for us to capture your feedback on your experience. And they spun that around and they finished there and they submitted it. And then they reset it for the next person. So I'm going to go over those results because I have them for you. So open enrollment update. You notice there that there's nothing out there beside that. So I printed this off yesterday and I purposely left those numbers off so you can write them in. As of this afternoon, employees seen 2,370. Employees remaining approximately 1,868. Cleanup, that means that we've gone to a location and somebody was out at a conference the days that we were there, or they're on medical leave or whatever. We have sheets for every location and it shows who we missed. Why did we miss them? It's important to us because everybody will go back to them now. We call it cleanup. We just go back and try to see everybody. For those, I'll let you know. For those people that we can just not find, Tina went out today trying to do cleanup, and she found one location that had 3, and you saw 3. She called another location that had 2 or 3, and none of them were available. So we're trying to do some cleanup as we go here, but that number, right now, we roughly have right around 130 people that we've missed in the school for some reason. And I can tell you that roughly 80 to 85 of those were because of our rain event when we had to miss school, when schools were closed. We had 57, I believe, at Lafayette High. We had 25 or 26 at Doosan. So like I said, roughly 80-ish there that we know. So really, in all of the locations, do you know how many we've seen? How many locations we've seen? You subtract out what we have left.
We have 11 locations to see next week, and we have the balance of what we've seen this week. So we've probably seen 27.
So out of 27 locations, then really it's only about 40 to 50 people that we really truly missed or out for whatever reason. And we will see those people that will all have an opportunity to enroll. Survey results. So if you turn the page, here are the survey results. And I actually, again, I stopped this yesterday, but I went back today, so I scribbled in some other things. What you'll see there is how many responses we have. That's up now to just, it's right around 2,200. It's just under 2,200 responses. Who did you enroll with today? That shows you a chart. You can see that Tina's been here the longest. She's the green one there. But the next thing, so I'll just, do you guys want me, are you okay with me going through each of these questions so you know what we're measuring?
No. We can read it.
Okay. Well, what I want,
Quick question. So 2,200 to 2,300 filled out surveys? 2,200,
yes, that's correct.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. We have roughly, there's roughly somewhere between 100, right around 100, 150 that did not.
That's a good.
That's not all because they didn't choose to.
Yeah.
We did have some technical issues where I think Brooke, you had some downtime where her what was it? The internet would not connect. So we know that we had some of those situations. Matt was the first person that was Jeff. Where Jeff, you got to take care of Matt. Matt was the first person that we saw here, and because this was a new practice for us to do every person at the time of enrollment, he forgot to spin it around to Matt. So we've still got to get Matt's response. He's one of those 150. So Matt was real quick though.
Yeah. Mr. Downs, I'm trying to keep the schools right for you guys.
Yes, sir.
After this week is done, we got our schools left Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We will have 11 locations remaining for next week. And also next week, I think we've set aside another day, December the 11th, which would be next Tuesday, for transportation folks. Some of your transportation folks, I think we have about 300 total. Is that a good number?
323, I believe.
And some of those folks can come into the schools. Like I have a good friend of mine that called me today, and he's at Judy's Middle. He's a bus driver, and he has a very, very tight schedule. And he says, will anybody be able to see me tomorrow at 8:15? Gets off his bus at 8:10 in the building. We'll make that happen for him.
But you know December 11th, we're off school.
Yes.
Right. So what, in that case, what they're trying to do, I think they're going to use the central office for certain bus drivers that couldn't go to their schools, for example.
Anyone, for that matter.
Anyone, and they can come. It gives them another option to come and get their benefits.
We've got folks going to La Rosen and VCC, and then I've got, I think it's 8 or 9 benefit consultants that will be here at central office just for that, for bus drivers.
What time are they going to get here?
I think our start time, did we set it for 8:30? I think 8 or 8:30.
So those teachers who, they can go there before they start working.
Yeah, we'll send out some communication on that as well. So that's next Tuesday. You already said something?
I sent a J call.
Okay, all right. One thing about the survey that I do want to point out though is that we weren't perfect. Doggone it. Doggone it. I want to be perfect, right? We were not perfect. So this comes with us being an open book. We weren't perfect, but I will tell you this. Where you see here that 12 people said that they did not feel that our benefit counselor was knowledgeable and thorough in explaining all of your benefits. You know what's interesting to me is that there may be some user error on the survey. I can't prove that now, but if you go through and you look at the rest of their responses, they were all positive, and the very last one, that was my experience, was excellent. So that tells me that there's a possibility that that 12 that said that their benefit consultant was not that strong, that number is likely extremely lower. I know what was the issue that we were having. So the pads, I think you can control them with a mouse or by touch. And I think if you use the mouse, sometime it can jump and accidentally hit something. So again, it's
Don't
not.
put it on the mouse. Come on, just take it.
What'd you say?
Don't blame them.
Don't blame
Don't blame the mouse. Hey, okay, all right. So
I'm writing that down.
hey, don't blame the mouse, and I'm not going to do that. So let's talk. Just real quick. If you look through the numbers, the negative responses are less than 1/2 of 1% of your folks. That means that 99.95% of your folks are extremely pleased with what we're doing. Okay. Now we got the rest of the week, and next week when I'm going to have 16 or 17 folks in here, so we still have some risk of things going south. But I'm very happy. One more thing. I know that you don't want me to go through all the results, but there is one more thing, and I need to do this for Mona as well. Number 6, would you like to enroll in your benefits through a self-service online enrollment, or do you prefer sitting down with a benefit counselor one-on-one to review your options? We had, it's gone, I've watched it every week. It's hovered between 11 and 12% that would prefer to do an online deal. So next year, we will offer that as an option. We have no plans, obviously we can't with this kind of feedback, but what we'll do is a couple of weeks before we're scheduled to start the enrollment, we'll send out a link with instructions on how to self-enroll. And if they want to go out and self-enroll, that's their option. Those people that want to come and sit down with these lovely people behind me, then they're more than welcome. That's how we would prefer to do it. It's grueling. It's tiring to sit there and do that all day long, but they're the best of the best, and we would prever to do it that way. All right.
Anybody have questions?
I do.
So that's the survey rules. I do have one more thing. Hold on. Is yours about the enrollment?
No.
About a product?
No, it's about your brochure.
Okay. Let's go ahead and talk about that, because my next short item is totally off the deal. So what is the?
And it's a really nice brochure, I have to say. I'm just curious, and maybe it's a minor point, but of most concern to employees are health insurance. For every other benefit, you have the company on that page, but you don't have Blue Cross Blue Shield. There are no plans to switch, are there?
No. And that's
Is
a
there
great,
some
and that's a
reason
great,
why we didn't?
Well, and
we
there's,
missed it.
Okay.
and there's
It's a miss.
TPA too.
Let me, I just need to mark that
What
somewhere.
page?
Just make a note. We missed it. So here's the good news is, we're gonna be dropping off, we've ordered, so we have our own print shop, so we do these. So I think last week, I had like 3,000 or 2,500 more of these printed. So there's enough for them to finish the enrollment and enough for me to leave Trish probably about 500 of these. After the next batch that we print, we'll put that on there. That was just an
Did you
oversight.
enroll for healthcare?
No. Well, we can, but that's something that we told you that Lynn is
We
doing a
did
great.
not want.
Yeah, that you don't want, and Lynn is
No,
doing,
I agree.
and not to broach this, is something that we can. I will tell you that some of the comments that we got was, it sure would be nice to enroll in the same system.
It's a step in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
So that, just so you know, and we can discuss this as we move forward, but that is a possibility with Lynn staying in control of that. Again, we want to make it easy for folks. So if we're going to be sitting down with people during the health enrollment period, it's something that I think we would be willing to do.
Are you ready to take some questions?
Yes.
Sure.
Doesn't?
Oh, one more thing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
My last point.
A license.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Can we all do the wave?
Yeah.
Well, they comment on the Blue Cross comment because Blue Cross really isn't our insurance company. They just process the insurance claims
It's-
for our self-funded insurance. And I think that's some
Why don't we
confusion out
put
there.
both logos side by
Blue Cross
side?
is our
with a
insurance
comment?
company, that
I
we're
didn't
not
know
really
that.
just a big checkbook that Blue Cross manages
Processes.
our processes
Yeah.
for us. So I think, I really want to make that clear because I get that a lot
Yeah,
from
it's
people
like-
that are
Because that's what they,
confused.
that's what they think.
But I think, Matt,
That's the understanding.
as apprehensive as people are with the health insurance, if you could just put it even managed by Blue Cross, I think that would
That would
eliminate a
help.
lot of
Claims
questions.
We
process.
could put their logo next to ours
I'm fine
and
with
refer
that.
to them as.
Absolutely there that
That-
says we're
that would take care of it.
self-insured.
Thanks.
Because I get a lot of feedback.
Any more questions? You want to talk about yourselves or lack thereof? Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the point,
She's at Scott Middle.
who did you talk to at Scott Middle to, tell, she told me, the secretary told me on Friday that she was told to get 2 subs and to make a schedule. She got no subs.
Okay.
They took one person from para, from the classroom, and did it.
If I can address that, if I could.
Was that the principal's choice?
I
okay.
don't know. I don't know.
That's kind of
I was
my
not
area, and
told
I'll assume full responsibility
Okay.
for that. In my visit to Scott Middle prior to the enrollment happening, I spoke to a lady there by the name of Miss Jennifer Robinson.
The secretary.
Because sometimes it depends if the principal's in a conference, parent meeting, they'll say it's not feasible, Skip, for you to wait to talk to the principal. So the point of contact at that particular school was what is missing. And I don't just keep these notes. I'm getting old, so I have to write everything down because I don't remember it as well as I used to. But that's the lady that we spoke to. And when I go there, it's basically to confirm the dates that Ms. Trish LaBeouf in Ms. Mona's office has worked really hard at. We confirm those dates. We confirm the subs, how many, and we also confirm the start time. So there's a few moving parts going on with the enrollment. So that's the point of contact that I had there. And I know that, we've had a few issues where the subs weren't there, and that happens sometimes.
That's because she didn't get it. But I don't understand. Somehow I got an email that said we would have people from the 3rd through the 6th. So at that point, I secured a place. And at that point, everything was taken away from me, but no one told me anything. So on Monday, it was a disaster.
Right.
You can ask the people that came.
Right. Initially, we might have had, we had a schedule change around the 6th of November where we had to rearrange some schools. There's some things that happened, so we rearranged some schools. But when I went to Scott Middle for my visit and visited with Ms. Jennifer, the dates we confirmed were the 3rd and the 4th of
That's what
December.
she told me.
And for 2 subs each day. And then we were sending in turn, we were sending 2 benefit consultants to work along. And she said about Scott Middle, about 72 total employees is the number she could have. So we went on that.
That's why I thought 4 days, that's That's strange, but
Yeah,
that's what I got.
Anybody else have questions?
I have a comment real quick. Mr. Kovac was he came to Green Tea Linden. Came, I think, 2 out of 3 days just to check on us. Mr. Fawcett, I can't remember who the other person was. Yes. Had a lot of really good feedback from you guys, and you checking on us was really, important to us, and it made us feel, like we're trying to create some type of relationship. So had a lot of good feedback from that.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
I did get some too from some members of the superintendent's cabinet this morning, that they, while sitting and listening to the enrollers talk to the employees, they were impressed with how much they took their time, and she said she wanted to let y'all know.
Where's your local office?
So we've got our local offices, 413 Ridgeway. What's the suite number?
Right down from Red's.
Red's.
Ridgeway,
Yeah.
Okay.
So Michelle
So you have to
Vincent.
kind of weave around. And
Michelle Vincent is
On the side of St. Mary's.
Michelle Vincent is the person that works in that office, and she couldn't be here tonight. She's actually done some of the enrollment. We want her to pretty much be in that office just in case somebody goes by there to see her. She's totally capable of doing an enrollment. So if somebody goes by there and they have questions, she'll be able to answer those. Because we're ramping up our numbers, she's actually going to be coming out to some of the locations to help us. I think she's working with Tina this Thursday, and then she may do a couple of days next week. But we really want her to be in that office.
Who is the contract that was signed? Is it with Educational Benefits or School District Financial Services?
My understanding is it'd probably be with, I'm not 100% sure, but my guess is that it would be with School District and doing business as EBI.
I'm sure I have a copy. I don't know.
Anybody know? Is it down here?
EBI would be the DBA connected to school.
Dr. Aguilar, is the contract with EBI or with School District Financial Services?
I think it's with EBI.
You do.
We can pull that tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments? Thank you very much, and thank you for the cookies.
I got your cookies. Y'all got to dig in there. Come on now. Break bread with us. We're trying. Come on. All right. Thank you guys for having us.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you guys for coming. They didn't have to come, but I really wanted them to.
Thank you very much. All right, next thing on the agenda is the long-term care.
Can you stay for that?
Yeah.
Is that my piece?
Yes,
Okay.
that's
What,
I'll tell you what I know about it. Okay. So first of all, it's another hiccup, and I want to take as much responsibility. I know Mona's going to try to take the responsibility, but I think we both should. When we decided to leave the Unum LTC in, at one point I was going to roll it off and make it and push it to payroll deduction or outside of payroll deduction to bank draft. And then I decided, well, since we've got the group life and the supplemental life, it's not going to hurt anything, but we're not going to enroll. That's about as far the discussion that we got. I just found out about this increase. Well, we didn't build those increases into our enrollment tool. So I've been working with Mona. I've been working with Unum to open that thing and get them going. Working with Unum to understand that. Your question's about the increase. Do you want me to shed light on the increase itself?
That would be one of the questions, yes.
So,
it's been asked for a couple of
yeah,
meetings
so here's that open book. And again, I'm not selling any Unum LTC, but in talking to the folks from Unum, that policy, my understanding is that they wouldn't have even allowed us to sell any new. It's killing them.
Yeah, they're trying
As
to
a carrier,
unload that piece.
it's a closed block. They're getting beat up on it. They're not wanting anybody else. You're going to continue seeing increases on the LTC through Unum. I can go ahead and tell you that. It's going to happen. I have been a part of this before where I've worked with a carrier and they were getting beat up on their cancer policy because of the way that it was built. And they literally had people call out to all the people that had this old cancer plan and offer them a new plan and all of these bells and whistles if they would just let go of the old plan. Now I hope and pray that the LTC plan does not increase like that cancer plan, because I have people paying $600 a month trying to hold on to that plan. So what I'm telling you is the increase is due to it being a dead block that they're losing their tails on. So it's, as people come off of it, it's just going to continue going up.
Okay.
That's That's what's going on.
That's industry-wide.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's right.
It is. Yes, sir.
So that's what I know. Is there anything else on the LTC? I mean, it's very limited, but I did. Once I realized that there was an increase, I actually called them and I said, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa! I'm in a bad place here. I'm going before the school insurance committee, and y'all need to protect me here on this one." I asked. I said, "Is there any way that you can hold these rates? Hold them for me at least 1 year, and then we can talk about the following year. Can you hold it for this year?" For two reasons. The main reason is because I hadn't communicated to these employees that it was going up. Then I later found out that the school system had sent out packets to all employees to make them aware that it was going up. So just so you know, our plan will be to send communication that it wasn't built into the system, so the confirmation forms are not correct.
Did those go out to, to retirees who have that plan as well?
Yes.
Yeah, I would assume they didn't come. They probably didn't come through.
My question
They mailed
is,
them directly.
if they're gonna, it's 20% per year, which I think is pretty steep to go up. I mean, that's a pretty
Yes,
large
ma'am.
increase.
I agree.
You mentioned this cancer company that offered another policy.
Mhm.
The problem with lawn care is that it depends on your age.
Yeah.
I'm too old to buy it anywhere.
Yeah,
else.
exactly. So
I am. It's not
there's no
affordable.
possibility of them offering something at approximately the same rate.
My understanding is that they don't have another policy that they would offer that way.
All right.
Now, I can tell you for, and I'm sorry that I can't speak for the retirees, but for the active employees, we did bring a Trustmark universal, what we call universal life events, and it's a universal life policy that has long-term care built into it.
Is there any way you can look to see
Yeah.
what other long-term
Most
care
definitely.
policies might be available
Most definitely.
to retirees?
We can definitely do that.
While we're, Ms. Mount, while we're talking, what is the participation right now?
I can tell you.
It's usually very low, but I just was wondering.
I do have those numbers. Active employees, there are roughly 120 that had that plan. As of last week, we had already seen roughly 90 of those. And then I believe there's more than that. There's probably 170 to 180 retirees that have the plan. So obviously it was something that was brought in, I guess, some time ago.
96.
So there you go.
96, huh?
96 or 98.
But yes, ma'am, that's my job. If this committee says, hey, we'd be interested in seeing other options similar to that, I mean, those are things that we want to be able to do for you guys. So,
I have a question. Where
Yeah.
did you buy boots?
what's that? Where did I buy the cookies?
They're good.
I'm gonna have to ask Skip, because Skip's wife did it. We can't take credit for it.
Mr. Darnell, my wife's responsible for that. She's a retired school teacher, so she's got good taste. So, got those at food parks.
Food cart.
Does have very good taste.
There's some other things in there. I knew cookies, and he started naming these other things. I'm like, I've never even heard of that, but there's some other things hidden down there that.
That's because it's
What are they called?
rich.
Okay.
Beautiful.
All
Any
right.
more questions so we can let these folks go?
Anything else?
Unless you want to be here for the request for proposal discussion.
I don't know that I. You guys can go. Do you want me? Okay. All right. Thank you guys so
Thank you very
much.
much. Thank you.
I hope that this, seriously, I hope that this is the start of a relationship that we can all be proud of for the employees of Lafayette Parish. So thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Bye, take care.
Next thing on the agenda, description of the process for request for proposals.
No, Lynn is not coming. No, you can't make it.
And the phone is out at 6:25? Did he send his report?
No, I mean, he reviewed one with me, but he didn't send me the final version.
Did he know our meeting was tonight?
I thought he did, but apparently he didn't make it on his calendar.
That's a shame. That's a shame. We're all here waiting for him.
That's what I was here for.
Didn't make it on his calendar. Okay, request for proposals.
Okay, I thought we'd go over the process that we use for all requests for proposals, regardless of whether it's for voluntary benefit administration or consulting for the health plan, as Health South does. Of course, Nancy's done a lot of legwork already on the voluntary benefit side. We can collect from various sources different samples, cobble together something that'll work for us, and then we go to sometimes our attorneys, if we need attorney review of it, it's something real complicated. Otherwise, Lee Francis, our purchasing agent, will go over it with us. And he advertised, well, first of all, we if it's something involving this committee, we would bring it here for input as well. And I presume then next to the board insurance committee and then onto the full board to approve issuing the order. Once that's approved, Lee Francis, will advertise it in the usual places. There are these different sites where you advertise bids and RFPs. And you give the people a reasonable amount of time to respond. And then at that point, once you reach your deadline and collected all your responses, what we do there depends on the nature of the RFP. In Kyle's case, he gets a committee. If it's architect selection and they score the RFPs, we could do the same on this level and the board insurance committee level. It would just depend on what we wanted to do as far as who's going to score them and make the final recommendation.
Well, this committee voted at our last meeting
Yes.
that we preferred that we did the RFP process
Yes.
instead of hiring somebody.
Correct.
So the board didn't agree with that part. And in lieu of that, we requested that an RFP be issued. I assume this is a one-year contract that these folks have. So we meet again probably in March because we meet every 3 months or so, every quarter. When do you propose sending out the RFP? What's the time frame you need?
The board has a new practice of asking for the RFP to be issued no later than 6 months before termination date.
So when would you need it?
Well, if this contract ends
December.
December, by the June board meeting, we would be getting permission to launch the RFP.
Would that give enough time if you chose to have a different vendor for next school year's enrollment?
I don't know. We'd have to really sit down and think about how much time do they really need because they're involved in them.
I think
So maybe March would be.
That's what I'm thinking. Would it be possible for you to have a draft for us to look at in March? For at least that step to be done?
So for voluntary benefits?
Or whatever you need. I don't know if you have other RFPs in insurance that need to go out.
Not right now.
So it would be voluntary benefits. So at least this committee could review it, and it would be whatever you need to do between March and June or whenever you want to get it to the board. It's at least that much time in advance, so it would have to be June, or could it be before June?
It could be before June.
So.
And it likely ought to be.
I think so, for her
We're going to get a
time.
company in with their software package, interface with the employees. We probably need to get this thing wrapped up probably no later than July.
Absolutely.
How about a list of you said, of which ones do need RF? As, you know.
Services?
Yeah.
It's really for this plan, it's only been voluntary benefits and healthcare consulting. Now the consultant and the TPA.
Just to see, because not to get back to the same situation.
Yeah, that's why I'd rather start in March if we could, so we don't end up with this saying, the crisis management kind of thing. We have to make a decision.
And I think we had also we talked about that at the last meeting where March was the deadline.
Right.
We need to have it for March so that we could get it in and we wouldn't have all this last minute
I think you're right, Butch.
situation.
So that would be great. And,
Yes.
I think the RFP, just the research I did, I think that's definitely the way to go. Dr. Acklot, Lord, had asked me to do some research, and you look at a lot of the school systems that use the RFPs, it makes the evaluation process so much clearer, more definitive, more accurate. It's not listening to the sales pitch.
Yeah.
It's just looking at data.
Yeah.
And there's so much data. I mean, when I read it, I realized there were so many things we should have asked and we didn't ask because it never
At the
dawned on
same time, we only had 6 minutes.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
That's true.
And you know the process wasn't controlled by us.
Right.
That would be true. And they do have a TPA license. The reason that's important is because they said they had a TPA license, but they didn't have a TPA license. But they had a TPA exception license. Now they have a real TPA license as of November the 27th.
And the day they said they had the exception license, they did until the next day, where it was gone.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay, so if their thing ends in December, does that mean that they would be doing it next October, November, they will?
Not
Only
necessarily.
if we choose to
Only
stay.
if you choose to,
Yes.
if we stay with them.
Yes.
If we stay with them,
Well, what was making me not think that is because they had a contract through December,
Through
until
December.
December.
That's
December
right.
But if they're
19th.
gonna change,
Next
You-
December, not
you
this
wanna
December.
get the next company in.
Well, that's what I was
Before they
thinking,
leave.
right.
Yeah, so
Okay.
you guys need to giddy up with the holidays, because you're gonna need to meet either in January or February.
I think so.
To look at an
I think
RFP.
so.
Yeah. Because
Yeah,
the
I
March
agree.
meeting is March
You need the
13th.
time.
Whoa.
Yeah,
You
you
need the
mark
time.
around the week before or something.
we need to get it out so that we
As,
can
as
look
soon
at
as
it
possible, yes.
So,
early
Yeah, I
February.
can't get to it before Christmas, I'm afraid, because this is our busiest year. It'll have to be in January.
Okay.
First of February.
Matt?
So normally, how long are those contracts?
How long are they?
This one was for a year because of the situation.
They're
Normally we put
usually
out-
for a year
They're
and renewable if neither party gives notice that they don't want to continue. That's usually how it's done.
okay.
How is
Okay,
this one
is
done?
there,
Well, no, this one is
This
a 1
one's
year.
just a
Yeah.
one-year contract.
okay, in giving notice, it's for any cause or just no cause at all?
If you do it within, yeah.
Yeah, so in other words,
No
okay,
cause necessary.
okay, all right,
You
that's
need more
fine.
closeness.
Okay, anyone have a preference for a time in January to meet?
As early as possible.
Yeah.
It depends on when she can get it out.
Mona, when's a good time for you? You said not until after Christmas. You're gonna have to draft the RFP, and you have to come back after Christmas and catch up on all your work. So mid-January, early January,
First of February.
late, 1st of February?
You give her a little time.
I would think so.
That'd be great. I mean,
Okay, can you give me a date in February? Early February?
as we get to the month of February. Right, what is a day of the week y'all prefer? Because really, there's nothing scheduled.
Tuesday?
Tuesday. Y'all want to do it Tuesday, the 5th?
February 5th, is that okay with everybody?
I like
Fine.
On February 5th,
Sound
5:30
like a
again?
winner to me.
Any old business? New business? If you haven't signed the card to Lizette, Matt,
It's right here.
a couple of people who came in late,
Yeah, I'll get it to
if
him.
you'd sign, here's the
Okay, good.
if you'd sign
I
it,
don't guess we could talk around it.
I did email.
Butch tried to talk
I
about it.
emailed her too.
Yeah, I did too. I just thought it'd be
That's
nice
a
if we
loss.
could,
I hate to
oh,
lose such
it's a big
long term.
loss.
She's been here a while, and it's hard. It takes a lot to know this stuff. It's not-
terrific,
She's
terrific
been here a long time.
contribution.
I agree.
Too busy.
She's too busy. Butch tried to talk her out of it.
She's coming to the end of her years and whatnot, and she's into another business. She flips houses and is involved with Lafayette. There's some committee she's on. So she's just gotten really busy.
So, but you think
Thank you.
if we had a motion from this committee officially asking her to remain on for another year, that she would change her mind?
We refused,
You know,
I mean,
she
she's
was-
got a lot of knowledge. She sat on this committee for.
I don't think so, because last year she's kind of,
Okay.
Yeah, she wasn't gonna come back this year.
Okay.
yeah, she said she wasn't coming back this year, so it's just, we're lucky to have kept her.
Hopefully LE will find us somebody.
We're hoping, yes.
So what is this?
And also, one more thing, if you have a paraprofessional at your school, I don't know what's happened to their organization. I know Mona's reached out. We still don't have a rep from the paraprofessionals group. So I would like to have them represented if we can find one. So if there's one at your
Do
school.
they still have a group that meet?
I don't know.
No,
I don't think they do.
So should we just make that, or just invite a para?
Invite a para, that's what I would do. Okay, motion to adjourn, anybody?
So moved.
Butch, second.
Second it.
Mr. Stansberry, you second the
Yes, I
motion?
do.
Wait, who?
I third it.
Jesus. We don't need motions.
Thank y'all for coming.
Janice,